What's going on, everybody? We got obviously some major news to talk about. Bradley Beal is headed to the Phoenix Suns. The certain guy below me got a lot to talk about this. So we'll get into all that good stuff. We'll also get into where some destinations we might think Chris Paul might go to, with probably either getting waived or traded somewhere else, with him being a part of the trade. And we'll talk about Dame Lillard. What does this mean for him? Does Miami now pivot to Dame? So let's get into all that stuff. But first, the show is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, your number one place for all your ticket needs. Go to SeatGeek.com and use promo code OffTheBallNetwork, all caps, to get $20 off your first purchase. Got baseball season in full swing and all that. So go ahead and use the promo code OffTheBallNetwork, all caps, for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. All right, guys. We obviously know what just happened. Breaking news that Bradley Beal is now a member of the Phoenix Suns. Big trade. We kind of felt like something was going to happen. It all, wavered on. Is Bradley Beal going to waive his no trade clause? So he did it. So, as reported, Wizards are trading three-time All-Star Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, a bunch of second-round picks, and a bunch of pick swaps. So obviously, we see that and we're like, that's it. That's it for an all-star level player and all that. But we can't just focus on the player and all that. And I just was watching a show and they made a good point. It's like there's two different entities here. There's the player, and then there's the player's contract. Right. The player's contract was a big focus in it. Obviously, he's still owed over $200 million. I don't know the exact number, but it's around that range. And obviously, he had the no trade clause, which kind of, he was allowed to kind of pick what I'm going to get traded for. And obviously, in past years, we've seen trades, and everybody always brings up the Carmelo trade from 2011 and all that, and be like, all the players and picks and all that. So we'll get into all that. But as you see, we got a great cast of guys with me. I got obviously the VP of Off Ball Network, Mo Murphy, Mr. Up and Flames himself, Mr. Solo Cup, and we got our guy Omar in the building. Guys, what's going on?
What's up, Chris? Hey, man, ready to talk about this disaster? Ready to see Mo spaz out because I know he's a Heat fan, So pretty excited to talk with you guys. I saw you hit you're about to go live. I'm like, let me jump in.
I'm here so I don't get fined.
Well, you'll be all right.
I'm here so I don't get fined.
You should be mad if we hear Dame goes to Boston, and then
we'll talk about that.
You can go up in flames. I don't have the soundboard on, so
I go.
But obviously, Mo, let's start with you first. Obviously, there was a lot of rumors, and we've talked about this offline, that Bradley Beal was a potential suitor for the Miami Heat. They obviously felt like they could not essentially run it back with the squad they had, because we saw in the finals, defense wasn't the issue. They simply couldn't get a bucket. And Jimmy just had to work too hard to get in. And with everything he's done in the playoffs, and then you're playing Denver, very good, solid defensive team, very long team, and the altitude. It just seemed like at times it was like he can only do so much. And on switches, it's like he's going on Jamal Murray. They do switches, and they did this on purpose. And then he's on Aaron Gordon, or he's on KCP, and it was just too much for him. So they were definitely in the sweepstakes but they did not. And it from what I got, that Beal chose the Suns over the Heat, the Bucks, and the Kings. Like I mentioned before, he has a full no trade clause, so he gets to pick where he wants to go and all that. So Mo, how are you feeling as a Miami Heat fan about this? Are you getting a little tense, a little worried, or are you feeling still optimistic because there is still Damian Lillard, lurking in the weeds?
No, I'm not feeling optimistic for the simple fact Bradley Beal was available right now. We're playing the what if game.
Yeah.
We've played the what if game on multiple occasions. What if this guy signs here? We played it with Kevin Durant. We played it with Gordon Hayward. Like, that's where I'm going. No, I'm not playing the what if game. We let Bradley Beal, who was available right now, and we could have traded him for basically Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and 2 first-round picks was the alleged, like, what we offered, which was a better offer than what Phoenix got him for. Period, point blank. Like, we could talk about where Phoenix is dumb for taking the offer or whatever, but the thing that came out to where I say this is why he's in Phoenix is because as much as we pitched that to, the Wizards, but I don't think we showed enough interest in Bradley Beal. And we, reports came out like we would love Bradley Beal, but we prefer Damian Lillard. And so a man with a no trade clause is allowed to pick where he gets traded. And he's like, I don't feel like I'm loved enough here. And I think that's where Miami, like, mind you, if Bradley Beal just said, I want to go to Phoenix and that's it, there is no talking, then, we just lost out. He wants to go to Phoenix. I ain't mad at him for it. It is what it is. But basically to go to Phoenix because you didn't feel wanted enough in Miami because there was another guy who's not even for sure available that you prefer a guy who hasn't said he wants out. And you prefer a guy who said, even if he says he wants out, he don't have a no trade clause. Like Dame doesn't have a no trade clause. So saying like we prefer a guy that we're going to have to flip the franchise for to team up with Jimmy and Bam to make sure, we prefer him over a guy who, if he says, I want to go to Miami, we can make it happen. And we could have made it happen with Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and 2 first-round picks. And we would have been able to keep Tyler Hero, and we could have kept Tyler Hero to either have him on the roster, or we could have kept Tyler Hero as a trade piece to dangle around to be like, we're going to go get Pascal Siakam, or, Dame's available. Let's see what Tyler Hero and the rest of the assets we got can get us. And I've told you, Chris, I don't think we could compete with other teams to win a trade package. But where we win at is if a player says, I want to go there. Now Miami got all the leverage. We screwed up the leverage with a player who essentially said, I would love to go to Miami. I would play in Miami. I would prefer to go to Miami. We screwed that up by waiting for a player who hasn't said anything. He's hinted towards he'd love to play with Bam. He's gotten on Instagram Live. He's done these podcasts. I get it. But at the end of the day, the one thing he hasn't said is, I want out and I want to go to Miami. This isn't the Anthony Davis situation. He don't have a no trade clause. He's got 4 years left on his contract. As much as the Blazers want to do right by Damian Lillard, what do they have in this situation? Leverage. You think if Dame says he wants out, they're just going to be like, what team do you want to go to? And then we'll make it happen. No, he's going to have to give a list of teams. And based on what I would do if I was Dame, that list of teams, Miami can't match none of their packages. From the Celtics to the Knicks to Philly to whoever, Miami can't match their packages. And Chris, I told you this, 6 months ago? The only way Miami lands another star is if they're in a position where this guy only wants to go there and has all the leverage. We had that right at our feet, and that guy's going to Phoenix. That's my problem with not getting Bradley Beal is we could have got Bradley Beal and still at the very least entertained getting Damian Lillard. Now we lost out on Bradley Beal and might lose out on Dame, even if he asks out, just for the simple fact, I feel like Portland going to be like, help us help you, give us a list of teams. And I've told you, we can't compete with trade packages with Boston, with New York, the Knicks. By the way, I don't want to make it think I'm talking about Brooklyn. The Knicks, we can't beat their trade packages. If Dame says, I want to go to one of these 5 teams and I'm okay with playing for one of these 5 teams, 3 of those 5 teams easily beat us out on a day one offer. And that's my problem. Is like we missed out on Bill and now we might miss out on Dame. And now it's like, what do we do? Now you're hearing rumblings of like, don't rule out Draymond Green to the Miami Heat. Don't rule out Dylan Brooks. Like, so we walk in with this roster. We may lose Gabe Vincent and Max Strus and pick up Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green. And even if you consider that an upgrade for them two, like where's the upgrade on what we were missing, which is an absolute guy who can get a bucket whenever he needs to and take the pressure off of Jimmy. We might not get that unless we get Kyrie Irving, which I think is a long shot. I think we were trying to be all in on Kyrie, Dame, and Bill. And if we don't get one of those 3, I don't care what kind of, upgrades we make around the roster. If we don't get Kyrie, Dame, or Bill, we failed this offseason. Reaching the finals and not upgrading tremendously where it makes sense And it makes sense for the basketball world where they can look at your team and be like, that makes sense. Getting Kyrie makes sense. Getting Bill makes sense. Getting Damian Lillard, that makes sense. It picks up for what y'all were lacking in the finals. If you don't get one of those three guys and you're talking about plug and play with Dylan Brooks or adding Draymond Green, bro, you lose the offseason. And I just feel like a team who I won't say was competitive. We were competitive in the finals. We lost in 5, but we were in a lot of games. We came back from a lot of games. And at the end of the day, you could see a world where Miami wins a championship and you see where the upgrade's there. And when the upgrade is available and when you see it's there and you don't make it happen, I'll blame it on Pat. I swear to God, if we don't get Kyrie Irving or Damian Lillard, I swear to God, put Pat Riley in the hospice. I swear to God.
My God.
Bradley Beal got more stressed out. But you got to remember here, Mo, Bradley Beal had a no trade clause. So, like, Miami could have gave them a good offer and all, and they did put in an offer from what I heard.
He didn't go there because he felt like the offer that we made, yes, the offer we made was better for Washington, but we didn't go all in and make Bradley Beal feel like we wanted him more than anybody else. That's where we messed up at.
But if you're just looking at it from Bradley Beal's perspective, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, that's a factor too, like who I'm playing with, you know. So I think that's a major thing that's involved in this. I don't think it's a
sure. Let me go play with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, who just got knocked out in the second round by the Denver Nuggets, as opposed to let me go play with Jimmy, Bam. And I say Tyler Hero only because the minute the Bill trade would have happened, Tyler Hero would be on the roster. But we also heard that Tyler Hero could be dangled around in another trade, which I feel would be like trying to get Dame and Bill. I think that would be the point of Miami hanging him around. But even still, like, bro, Dame, Hero, not Dame, Bill, Hero, Bam, and Jimmy, bro, is more of a championship-ready team than what he's got on Phoenix, just for the simple fact you're adding Bradley Beal on a team that just went to the finals. Like, everybody can give me the fluke. Oh, this fluke what Miami did. They just went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year and went 7 games. I understand they didn't go to the finals, but they were 1 seed, went to 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. They turn around, get in the playoffs, through the play-in as an 8th seed, reached the finals. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they were just in the finals in the bubble. Like, bro, this is a team that tells you they're championship ready. You can't say it's fluke. And so Bradley Beal is basically going to like, I want to play with KD and Devin Booker because he might feel like Kevin Durant's name holds weight. But at the same time, like, bro, outside of the 1 year in OKC and the 2 years in Golden State, when is Kevin Durant showing you that he could play for a championship team? Like, it's almost about time with getting Bradley Beal. If Kevin Durant and the Suns don't win a championship, and I say Kevin Durant because he's the best player on that team, if they don't win a championship, bro, if you're not treating him like LeBron, and I'm talking about on the negative side, if you're not treating him like LeBron, I really feel like you don't know basketball and you're crazy. We kill LeBron for joining these super teams and winning championships or winning a championship, but then Kevin Durant gets to invite whoever he wants to get over and invite, and he not winning nothing. When is it time that we treat Kevin Durant the same way? Let Bradley Beal go on to the Lakers. The conversation will be different.
It's also their owner who just bought the team. He's a different type of owner, right?
If Bradley Beal was a Laker today, if Bradley Beal got traded for D'Lo and Rui or whatever it was, if Bradley Beal was a Laker today, the conversation about the Lakers would be different than Bradley Beal being acquired by the Suns. The conversation would be different about how we're having about the Suns.
Well, I feel like everyone's like, oh, Kevin Durant needs this and all that, you know, to try to win and all that. But like I said, Matt Ishbia is not playing around. He's one of these owners that kind of like that Mark Cuban type. Like, he's a fan, you know, and a lot of these fan type owners, you know, are coming in and they're like, hey, I'm going to set the table. You know, I'm going to apply pressure. What do you do his first day or two and as the owner? Go get Kevin Durant. Well, go get Kevin Durant. All right, and he knew like it's going to last year that this past season that they might not get win a championship, but this is a process and all that. And now it's do or die. So Omar, for you, how do you feel about this trade? Do you think the value was at what you thought? Was it less than what you thought? More than what you thought? Give me your thoughts on this trade.
I'm surprised there wasn't a first round pick in there, to be honest.
I am
Yeah,
too.
and
Phoenix didn't have one until 2031. Just throwing it out there, like there
right.
was.
I'm just taking Phoenix out of the equation. I'm surprised there was no first round pick there. Right. I kind of look at it as like two stories here. First, I'll start with Washington. So Washington is looking like
I guess you got the swaps in a way because you could swap. So maybe those are they were cool with just being able to swap. So maybe that was it.
Right. When you look at Washington, they just wanted to get off this money. They're just kind of like, you know what? Why are we paying this dude upwards of 50, 60 million and he can't even get us to the plan, right? Yeah. And so let's go ahead and shed this, press reset, and probably try to get rid of Kuzma, get rid of Porzingis, and just kind of be a bottom feeder for the next few years and hope that we strike gold in the lottery, right? So from their thing, they just want to get him out of there. And the no trade clause, gave them less flexibility. That was on the old regime. That's on them. They should have never done that. That's a bad precedent that they set by giving him a supermax deal and a no trade clause. Now, when you look at Phoenix, Chris, you talked about Ishbia. This guy has new owner syndrome written all over him, man. He is just like, push the chips in the middle of the table. I want to win a title now. We saw it with Ballmer when he went after Paul George and signed Kawhi Leonard. We saw it with Mark Cuban, to your guys' point, and we see it all the time with these new owners. They get really, really aggressive, and they want to bring in players. So he brought in KD, didn't lead to a title this year. That's mostly because of a lot of injury stuff. With Chris Paul getting injured, and obviously KD dealing with injury at the end of the regular season. But now you bring in Beal, who's another guy who's missed a lot of games, right? But it's hard to ignore, like you mentioned, this guy's a bucket getter. So you got three bucket getters in Durant, Beal, and Booker now. They should immediately be in the conversation as a Western Conference finalist. The thing is, what's the next move? Because as of right now, if I'm not mistaken, they have 5 players on contract. The 3 big guys, Ayton, and I think Cameron Payne. So what are you doing, right? Like, what is the next move? You would imagine it's flipping Ayton and then breaking it down into role players, right? Trying to get some guys who are doing a little ring chasing, a vet minimum type dudes. And you have to ask, is that enough? And the interesting thing is Denver proved to you this year it doesn't have to be that way, right? And there have been kind of, like, even Miami, you could argue, proved it doesn't have to be that way, because they had a pretty deep team, made it to the finals with guys who they scouted well. And Phoenix is kind of testing the old theory, which is you need a big 3 to win in the league, the whole LeBron, Wade, Bosh theory. And with these guys' injury problems, it makes you wonder, and it's not like, Booker's missed games as well. It's not like he's out there playing 75 games a year every year. Beal, again, has missed a bunch of games. KD has been a walk-in injury. Like, he's only been available since he left Golden State, and not counting the year that he missed because of injury recovery. Right. He's only appeared in 55% of his team's games between Brooklyn and Phoenix. So that's not great. And this
is a massive risk that they're taking.
It's a huge risk. So they're kind of playing the high risk, high reward thing. If they get a title, hey, they win the trade, right? Just like AD to the Lakers. They won a title, so they won the trade, right? Mm-hmm. So that's all that really matters to Ishbia. It's all that matters to the Suns. And, Mo, to your point about KD, I think he gets a pass a lot of times, and I've often said this is probably the best pure scorer I've ever seen. I've been watching basketball since the early 90s, right? And he's the best scorer I've ever seen from all 3 levels. And with my own 2 eyes, from as soon as he crosses half court, the guy's in range. It's insane, right? But you can't be stacking the deck and failing so spectacularly over and over and over again and not get flack. LeBron gets that, but KD doesn't. And are we trying to say that KD isn't supposed to be a top 10 all-time talent? Because he is, and
he's a legacy player. Yep.
Yeah, if it's another second-round exit, and you also look at Phoenix, like, they got some stink on them now, back-to-back years, getting just shoved off the floor in the playoffs and elimination games. So you got that going on too. So this is like must do for them. They have to do well. In terms of the Wizards, they're like, you know what, we're done. Thank God. Don't got to deal with this bullshit anymore. And all the speculation, because that's the only reason we've been talking about the Washington Wizards for the past 5-6 years is, oh, what about Bradley Beal? Are you going to extend him? You're going to keep Beal? Is he going to request out? And now they wash their hands of that. They get to start over, new regime. They start with their lottery pick this year, and see what happens. And they'll be irrelevant for a little while, and we'll see. I mean, let's be honest, man.
Maybe longer than a little while, Omar. It might be.
I mean, it depends on if they could, get lucky. But it really is a situation there where they've kind of been so irrelevant now, really ever since John Wall left, and Beal hasn't really done anything, and he now slides in as probably one of the best third options we've ever seen, right? In that Andrew Wiggins role, and if he could stay healthy, they could probably go far, but that's a big if.
It just makes you think, what the hell Tommy Shepard, who was the GM of the Wizards, what was he thinking? Because if there was a year where you kind of wanted to blow things up, it was this season, right? With obviously Wemby, being the top prize in this draft, but there's also Scoot Henderson and some guys who could potentially be, cornerstones of your franchise. And not that they can't get a good player at, I think they have the 8th pick, but it's like, it shows what bad front offices can do. And now, with the Wizards and company, with Will Dawkins and Schlenk came from, I think he was with the Warriors and he was with the Hawks, I believe, and all that. So he has experience and all that. But it's like, damn, like we had to do that. And I know people are looking at this trade just off the value and be like, that's all you like. Why didn't? Because I already see it from
the money.
Like, a lot of teams. Yeah, like
no one's trying to pay him the salary.
Yeah, and it's like, well, the Wizards just wanted to get off a salary. At this point, they were like, the management from the previous regime, they set us up to fail, in the future. So we needed to get rid of it, and especially with Kuzma potentially coming back and Porzingis, probably going to opt in now to his deal, and maybe they'll trade him. It's like, they got this regime got set with a bad deal, so they eventually had to make this deal regardless, and just get rid of that contract because.
And you look at it, Chris.
Whoever you get returned, it doesn't matter. To be honest,
you look at it. They probably took the deal because they know they could just get rid of Paul, waive him, and they know that they could probably just get rid of Shamet too. So they're not bringing in any unnecessary salary.
Those guys probably won't be there.
Yeah, because it's all a money thing for them. Because they're just trying to get cut and trim salary.
You don't really see salary dumps to this level.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy that you can get rid of this much salary, and essentially for nothing. Like just taking it back a couple swaps and some second round picks essentially. But I know people are getting on the Wizards, and they're a whole that's a whole nother thing for the Wizards, as far as how they ran the organization. But this is a good step because now you get to a clean slate. Now we figure out what we're going to do with KP. If he opts in, maybe that's another piece because they might get more from KP. They might be able to get some first round picks and maybe a solid young player in return. So, and then with Kuzma, maybe they re-sign him, and that's a piece you can trade down the line too. With his, I'm sure, the way he played last year, he continues that play. That's another piece you could trade. So you got to break it down, and the Wizards finally did it. They finally broke it down and trading to Phoenix, but now Phoenix, all the pressure's on them now. All the pressure's applied. KD, like you said, has played in 52% of his games since he left Golden State, and obviously a big part of that was that the year he missed with the Achilles, but still it feels like and it's crazy. It's like a lot of his injuries are always fluky, like somebody landing on his leg or his ankle and all that. And
warm up line.
Your warm up line, like how crazy, like it's just crazy how much of those injuries are just like, those are just crazy fluky things, but they're happening, So now you add, and Booker has been relatively, but this year he missed games and all that. And Brad is obviously the last few years missed a lot of games. So you're taking a massive risk, to do it. But you're adding, if Beal is right, and now there's not much pressure on him as far as being the number one option. And now he gets to play as a number two option some days, a 3 option, and sometimes as a 1. So it's a good deal. But now the pressure's on for Phoenix. And we've seen KD before, obviously in Brooklyn not too long ago, with Harden and Kyrie. Obviously, it's a completely different situation. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. But CP was a part of this trade. He goes to the Suns and all that. And obviously, he didn't have a great season last year. He's on the back nine. He's literally on 17th, about to putt and then get ready to go to the 18th hole and finish off. So, and most likely he will not he will not even go to Washington. He's not going on the plane and all that. So what are some destinations that we can potentially see? He's either going to get waived or probably traded, somewhere. So what are some destinations that we could see CP go to, now that he's not traded from the Phoenix Suns? Mo?
Bro, he's going to the Clippers or the Lakers. I guess so. Like at this point,
he's in a house in LA too, so it just makes sense.
Yeah, he's going to LA. He's either joining his banana boat brother or he's joining the ICU with Kawhi and Paul George. Them is 2 options. I know I know there's been things prior to this trade happening where Miami would be interested in Chris Paul. Miami has turned into the new LA Lakers where, they're interested in everybody who could be traded. Sure. He's going to LA. He's either going to the Clippers in the ICU or he's going to the Lakers in the banana boat crew. That's it. That's his options. I think that's what's going to happen. And that's all I have to say about Chris Paul. And he also won't be available come playoffs. He's not a needle mover to me no matter where he go. If he go to the Lakers, don't pitch me Chris Paul, LeBron, and AD and tell me they're a championship team. If you go to the Clippers, don't tell me him, Kawhi, and Paul George are a championship team because, at the end of the day, come April, he's not going to be there. He's not going to be there. He's not going to be available. How many years does it take for us to figure out that he's not going to be there?
And he's just not the same player. If you're expecting the names, I think people are valuing the name more than the actual talent. And not to say that he can't bring any value to a team. He definitely can, but, how much does he really have left?
Chris Paul is better in Memphis. Chris Paul is better in Detroit. Chris Paul is better where you put him in the mentor role for a young point guard.
Does he want to do that at 38? He doesn't have a chip. I'm pretty sure
it's just to bring and I say Memphis, he's there to fill the void for 25 games for Ja and then be the mentor for Ja. I say Detroit just for the simple fact he'd probably be the 6th man, come off the bench and be there for Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham. I think he's more of a mentor role. Yes, Chris Paul in Detroit will never happen. I understand it. But I was just saying Detroit for the role of what I think Chris Paul would be.
If he had won championships, I would say San Antonio, Detroit, Orlando.
We watched him.
Would be good fits, but I still think he believe. Remember, we got to think like CP. He still thinks he probably has something left in the tank, and why would I waste that going to Detroit or San Antonio? Yeah, he can be to fill that role and help. But for instance, let's say Memphis, and I talked with Francis when I had him on the show, and he brought up a trade that with Tyus Jones going to Toronto, especially with Van Vliet probably not going back to Toronto. To get OG Anunoby. And I'm like, and I asked him, what about not having a point guard? Now, that situation, if that were to happen, CP would probably be a very, very good spot for him because he'll play. And then when Ja comes back, now you have a quality backup point in case Ja does something again, because you just know. You honestly – at this point, you're just you don't know what's going to happen next with Ja. He could do it again because we didn't think he would do it again the second time, and he did it. And there's still stuff coming out and all that, and we just don't know. So you want that security blanket. So that was an instance where I could see Memphis being a good spot. But even if he goes to the Lakers, it's it sounds good, but it's do they need more old players on their team? They need to get younger.
They need players who will be available in December,
And those
January,
scorers, too.
February.
Like, then you guys can get you a bucket too. Like, it just, you're relying on a 39-year-old LeBron come January. It's gonna be 39, right? And then AD, we know with his injury history. Then who else you got? Like AR, like I know Austin Reeves had a good, but we don't know his he might get the bag somewhere else. Who knows? Some team throws him $100 million. He's like, hey, I think he was an undrafted player, or he was a back in second round. Like, hey, $100 million. I'm sorry. I was making thousands. Now I'm going to be making 9 figures. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta take the bag. I'm sorry, guys. And I think Rui's a free agent. So, like, those guys can go. So, like, you're going to need scores. And is CP, like, yeah, I know the buddy relationship with him and Braun, so that automatically ties them in together. But is that really what you need? And then what does CP when he doesn't have the ball in his hand? Like, I know he's played off ball a lot, but, we know how Braun is. And Braun can be willing to give up the ball, but do you want that kind of lineup with AD, CP and LeBron and a lot, like, in your starting 5 and whoever else you have at your 5 and your 2. So I don't know if that's the great fit. And then the Clippers, you just can't trust that situation. Like, if everything goes the way we think it goes, like we thought we made the last 4 years, they probably win a championship in one of these 4 years, 5 years been together, but they haven't. They're always hurt. So is that a good fit? It might be, but it's like, how do you trust that? So I think his options are kind of limited. He might have to accept the role as a backup, realistically, because it might be it next year. Because if he's cooked, he might not even make it to January. It might just be, hey, it's a wrap, you dog. So that we have to see how he plays. Like, he didn't play well at the end of this season and all that. Like, I still think he can bring something, but I think it kind of get overrated, how much he could bring to a Lakers. The Lakers aren't going to be a title contender because they get CP. So that's the thing I'm trying to think. But I know if you're CP, you want a ring, right? He wants a chip, like, and that's so that's going to be. He's going to have an interesting situation to figure out where he wants to go, because I'm sure he's going to have options, but it might just be one and done for him. It might be one more year and that's it, because he's already 38. So. But I'm interested to see what happens. It's crazy how, what the Wizards are being able to do, like, and for management, and and I mentioned before, it's so important to have a good front office. And Omar, we know we're Knicks fans, so we know everything about what the Wizards do, because we kind of done the same thing for a lot of years, right? Under terrible Phil Jackson. Isaiah, they never hire an NBA.
Don't open the wound, man. What are you doing?
Don't hire Hall of Fame players or coaches as your GM. It doesn't work out. But even though Mike Dunleavy just got the job for the Warriors, but he's been groomed.
He's also not a Hall of Fame player. So.
No, I'm saying players in general. Like, they sometimes don't make great GMs and stuff.
Yeah, Pat Riley. My bad.
I keep forgetting.
This man's just
ish.
My bad.
Yeah. Back in, but with the Wizards, is like they made the right move. They made the right move. I know people are killing them and all that, but I think long term this is the right, because you're just gonna keep running into the wall. It's like, and you're gonna keep running into the wall. You're gonna be maybe a play-in team if you kept Beal and all that, and it's just a situation they clean. Like, now you're gonna see what happens with KP, and now you can kind of see the future. Like, all right, now we can build and see if we can build this thing the right way. We're going to get some, if KP's probably going to opt in, we'll trade him, get some guys, because he played solid last year. Kuzma could be a piece next year or at the, whenever down the line. So good for them. We'll see what happens with the Suns and all that. But to get more into another player that's on, I don't even know if he's on the market, whatever, Dame, we talked about a little bit. I know Mo's about to blow a gasket, because if they don't get this man, you're going to hear it from Walker all day. You're already hearing it, so you're going to hear it more. And so Dame to Miami. Is this more realistic now that Beal is a member of the Phoenix Suns, or do you feel like he's going to stay there, and then Miami is going to stay put and then have to do other things to try to make this roster better? in my opinion, I think Dame's going to be a Miami Heat. I think they're going to convince him. I think this was option number one, and I feel like they have enough intel to be like, to feel comfortable, be like, all right, if Beal goes there, I think we feel comfortable that we can get Dame here. I think we have enough influence, enough intel to be like, all right, we're comfortable that we can get Dame to come here. We can influence enough, and it won't have to give up as much, maybe a little bit more than what the Wizards get, but it's not going to be a crazy package because of the contract. Remember, after the third year, it's $62 million. So I don't think you're going to trade as much as you thinking. It's not going to be a crazy, and plus, it's not like whoever you give up, it's not going to be a lot to be crazy. Like if you give up a Tyler Hero and some picks and maybe, Duncan or whoever, it's whatever, right? Who really cares? I'm getting Dame. So what's your thoughts? Do you think this makes it the path to getting Dame a lot more clear, or is Dame to Miami a pipe dream at this point? What's your guys' thoughts?
All right, so I'm going to answer your question. You had a two-part question, so I'm going to give you both your answers that you're looking for. I think it makes the path to getting Dame more clear.
Yeah.
But I also think it still makes the path to getting Dame a pipe dream. Because I've told you, the difference is Bradley Beal had a no-trade clause. He had an NTC, which means if he asked out and agreed with Washington Wizards, he controls where he goes. Damian Lillard does not have that. So when Portland and Damian Lillard sit at the table, even if he's like, I want out, I'd like to go somewhere, Miami's my preferred spot, we're assuming that Portland doesn't counter and be like, bro, we love you. We love your loyalty to the franchise. We love your loyalty to the city. But there's always a but in that. Mm-hmm. And the but would be, we hear you on Miami, but can you do something for us? Is there other teams you would prefer to play for? And if Dame says, yes, Miami loses. If the minute he says yes, and
what other teams would you be afraid of that realistically you think
Boston,
can make a move?
Boston, Philly, the Knicks. I'm more thinking Eastern Conference. So I'm thinking those three teams. And here's why I'm also looking at that. The Knicks have the young pieces, the draft picks. They got plenty of things to make it enticing for Portland to start rebuilding with the Knicks, right? Mm-hmm. Like we're talking about, take Randall's out the picture, Jalen Brunson out the picture. I think it's more RJ Barrett, young pieces, and picks. All right. So
Obi, RJ, I think Obi, RJ picks.
The only names I'm putting on is RJ and stuff and picks.
Yeah.
That separates New York from Miami. Then I talk about Boston. Jalen, while we're having this conversation right now, Jalen Brunson hasn't been, I said Jalen Brunson. I apologize. Jaylen Brown has not been signed to a contract extension that the Celtics have said we're going to commit to him for the next 5 to 6 years.
But what the Blazers want to deal with that next season.
What I'm saying is he's on the table. And what I'm saying is if the Blazers were to trade him to Boston and they were to trade for Jaylen Brown, they would want the commitment of Jaylen Brown's going to sign a contract extension. We all know that's how it goes when you're on your last year of your contract. If I'm trading for you, you got to commit to the fact that I'm going to sign you for the next 4 to 5 years. So that makes the Boston Celtics. I take Celtics package. I take the Knicks package. When I talk about Philly, we're talking about Tobias Harris, who I think is going in, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's going into the last year of his contract, who also received the max contract and will be expiring money off the books. So if I trade for him and stuff that Philly can give me, I got a damn near max contract that's coming off the books, and I could make that come off the books in a buyout. I could make that come off the books in a 3-team trade, and I also could make that come off the books in the middle of the season by either trading him or buying him out and sending him to a contender to let him contribute over there. But I open up the salary cap for it next year. For me, if I'm Portland and I got my possible point guard of the future or my star of the future, if Portland had anything other than 1, 2, or 3, I think the conversation would be different. But they have a top 3 pick, which means they're not getting Wemby, but they could get one of Brandon Miller and Scoot. And I'm not a draft guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit here and weigh what these guys could be, but I also take all the draft guys that I know, love, and listen to. And I think the top 3 picks could all be potential all-stars for the near future or for the far-fetched future. These are all-star caliber players for their career. Their legacy is all-star, and then we'll talk about what they could be as far as legendary. But right now, they're projected future all-stars. So now if I'm looking at Miami and I'm like, unless Dame says I want to go to Miami and Portland says, bro, we will send you wherever you want to go. And if it's Miami, we'll get you there. Bro, Miami loses in that situation. Now you lost out on Bill and Dame, and they're sitting there picking up scraps, trying to get leftovers at free agency, leftovers in the trade market, and maybe they upgrade their roster still in a sense because we don't know fully who's going to be available. The draft is in what, 4 days?
Yep.
It's next Thursday. We don't know who's going to be available prior to the draft fully. We got some names out there. We know Dame is potential, but then we don't know after teams shape their roster in the draft, come free agency, we don't know who would be available, but you're still talking about Miami picking up the scraps and pieces. So if they don't land Dame, they lose this offseason with basically, and I'm just going by what big-time reporters are telling me. Big-time reporters are telling me they'd be surprised if they don't get one of Dame or Beal. Well, they didn't get Beal. So now your ultimate surprise is if Miami don't get Dame. That's all I'm saying. I think they could lose this situation and be scrounging for scraps in Miami based on culture and based on everything we know could land them back in the finals, but you still could look back. They could lose. They could get back to the finals, play the Denver Nuggets again, lose in 5, and you still be like, had they got Dame or Bill, and that actually ignites the conversation come next season. Because if you see Denver and Miami in a rematch, but no Dame or no Bill in a Miami Heat uniform, what's the first thing you're going to do if Denver beats Miami in a series? I don't care if it's in 4, 5, 6, or 7. You're going to say, had they had Bill, had they were able to land Bill, or had they were able to land Dame, I think the outcome of this series is different. So I think Miami's in a very, very lose-lose situation if you don't land Dame.
I think they are. I think they're going to land. I think
and now go.
I just think I don't think you have a. If you're not 100% that you feel like you can get Dame, I don't know why you wouldn't, like you said, go hard. I know he has a no trade, but like I think they could have pushed enough to get him, but I think I feel like they have a plan. They were comfortable with either or. Beal didn't go. I feel like there's a pathway to get Dame. Like Philly, because like you said, Tobias' contract is off the books after this year. So that could be intriguing for Portland simply to get the money off the books. Right? Just we don't even care who else we get. That's good enough. Just give us Tobias, and then we can maybe flip him and all that and whatever, and maybe get some picks or whatever. And so that could be an option too. But the Knicks, Omar, I don't know how you feel about.
I don't see it. I don't see the Knicks. I don't
see it with Brunson right now on the team. Maybe if Brunson wasn't Brunson, maybe if he was 18 a game, maybe you would do something like that. Because I thought I would have done the Dame trade 2 years ago. I would have done it 2 years ago. But it kind of feels like the Knicks, with Leon and company, they've kind of been not willing to pull the trigger on big trades. And even draft nights, like there's been nights where they've had their guy go 3 picks ahead and they're not willing to go that extra oomph to go get that guy. So I don't think that they would do the Dame trade, even if there was no Brunson. I think they're just, I don't know why they're not aggressive.
Star in New York. I think they would.
I think the Knicks really are waiting for Embiid. Like that's the big fish I think that Leon's waiting for. That just looking at it, I think they feel like they have their point guard and they aren't going to be in the market for another one. And it's either going to be a high-level wing or it's going to be Joel Embiid. And so that's why, while I understand your point, Mo, about the package, like you have.
No, I see that. If you're talking about Embiid, that's a different conversation. I fully agree with you.
Right. So I understand like the Knicks in terms of an appealing package are there. I'm just not sure if they're a willing trade participant with the Blazers right now. Boston and Philly to me are the ones who I would be monitoring for sure. If I'm Miami, I get this deal done regardless. I have to find a way, right?
You
And
don't even know if Dame. My only question to you, and it's not to you, Omar, is just for you to answer since you are talking. My only thing is Miami's going all in on a guy that we don't even know is fully available yet. He hasn't announced. There is no thing out there that Dame is available. We've heard if they use the third pick on Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson, that he could one out. But we're talking about you lost out on a guy on Bradley Beal for a potential, possible, quote unquote, possible guy who could be available. And that's my problem with it. It's like you go all in on a guy that we don't even know is available for sure.
I think he's available if the trade that the pieces that he's getting trade for it makes sense and all that.
But it only makes sense if they don't if Portland trades their third pick.
I don't think
if they do
too much. I don't think Dame is going to be traded for this crazy package because of the money he makes. Because as if I'm a team, I'm like, yo, I'm taking on.
You know why he gets
$$2 million.
You know why he gets traded for a package that you think I'm overthinking? For the simple fact he doesn't have a no trade clause. So at the end of the day, you're valuing his relationship with Portland, and that they would send him to his ultimate suitor that he would want to go to. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is they have a 3 pick. If they trade Dame, they're telling you they're trying to rebuild, and they're trying to maximize the rebuild. It ain't about Dame. It's about the simple fact every organization who tells you they're pitching a maximization on rebuild, they pretty much do that. And so if Dame gives a list of 5 teams, which at the end of the day, unless Portland's like, bro, we will trade you and we'll overnight trade you like Brooklyn did to Kevin Durant. And that was a rare situation that we don't see happen. Kevin Durant getting traded at 1:00 in the morning does not happen all the time. Typically, it's like, this is the list of teams, and we're going to let these 3, 4, or 5 teams bid, and whoever the highest bidder, because he says he doesn't mind playing for none of these 3, 4, or 5 teams, that's who wins the Dame sweepstakes. If Portland doesn't allow Dame to just simply say, hey, I want to go to Miami, and they say, all right, we'll let that happen. No, if they're like, bro, give us 3 to 4 teams to work with because we don't fully love Miami's package. I've told you for 6 to 8 months, Miami cannot get into a trade package, sweepstakes with a lot of other teams, which is why I bring up the Knicks. I bring up Boston. I bring up Philly because I feel like if I'm Portland, I want to trade them to the Eastern Conference just so I don't have to possibly run into them. Even if I'm rebuilding them, I want to send them to the opposite conference. We see that in trades all the time. Most of the time, they'll send them to the opposite conference unless they have leverage. Dame doesn't have leverage. And so if he says, I want to go to the East and I'll give you 3 to 4 to 5 teams, you're talking about Brooklyn. I forgot about Brooklyn. So you're talking about Brooklyn, Philly, Miami, Boston, and the Knicks. And I'm going to tell you, out of those 5 teams, I think Boston might be able to outbid the Nets only because they're not willing to trade Mikal Bridges. Outside of that, the Knicks, Philly, and Boston, if all of them said, I want Damian Lillard, their 3 trade packages are better than the Heat. Let's just be honest. For Damian Lillard, they will be able to walk up to the table and offer more than the Miami Heat can. And that's where my concern is even if he say he want to go to Miami, if he's available, if he becomes available, it still doesn't guarantee Miami unless Portland's like, whatever one team you want to go to will make something shake. And if he's like, I want to go to Miami, and Portland's like, we'll meet you there, then that's what it is, and it's good. But if not, bro, Miami loses because they can't compete in trade packages with those 3 to 4 teams. They only can beat out the Nets, the Knicks, the Knicks, the Celtics, and the Sixers. If they all wanted to pursue Damian Lillard, they win the trade packages over Miami. Even if you take the maximum where, I know you guys are Knicks fans, so I understand where you're coming from of what's too much. But if all 4 teams said we are going to give the maximum it costs to get Damian Lillard, the Heat still fall in 4th place in that. Even if you're not agreeing as a Knicks fan that we don't want to give up that much, I'm just saying if the Knicks, the Celtics, the Sixers, and the Heat come to the table and we will give you everything that we can afford to give you for Dame, the Heat fall in 4th place in those packages.
I still don't think he's going to get traded for as much as we were thinking. I don't think
he don't have the NTC, bro. That's a big deal.
I don't think Boston is going to be in it. I don't think they're going to be in it. I don't think the Knicks are in it. I don't think the Nets are going to be in
I
it.
think it's
I
Philly,
don't
man.
think I don't
Philly or
think there's as
Miami.
many teams. I think there would probably be more teams in the Brad stuff than there would be in Dame. Dame is hard to pull off. Philly only makes sense because you can get Tobias, like I mentioned before, Tobias contract, then that comes off the books, and now you can start over, right? And your payroll is now you're under the salary cap and stuff. I still think Miami has the best offer right now because I still think they're going to pull it off.
Miami has the best offer because you think Dame wants to be in Miami.
No, not just that. It's just I don't think the Nets are going to be involved.
Let me ask you guys something.
If the Knicks wanted Damian Lillard, be honest. I'm not take your Knicks fan cap off on whether it makes sense. Okay. If the Knicks said we're in the Dame Lillard sweepstakes, Miami and New York go to the table and they give maximum offers, whatever it may be. I don't care. We don't have to shape up the landscape. Just say both of them have put everything on the table to get Dame.
No, I understand. I just don't think the Knicks are in it. I don't think the Knicks are even in the Dame sweep.
But if they're not in it until Dame says I would go play for the Knicks, now they're in it. They will be
now,
in it.
Even if he says, I want to be a Knick, it's still not going to mean because he wants to be there that's going to happen because now you got Brunson. And I was like, Brunson came here. Brunson was willing to come here. Now we're going to mess up everything. And now we're going to have – because, listen, let's be real. Having Dame and Brunson sounds good. Like 2K, that's amazing. But on the court, let's be real. That's
also, Chris, if you're Dame – like if you're Dame, you're like, I already dealt with the two small guard lineup for years with CJ. Why would I want to do that again? In terms of saying I want to be a Knick.
Exactly. Now you also have. There's no guarantee Leon's going to be the next year. Next year's a pivotal year. Tom Thibodeau might not be the next year. Now you might have to deal with a whole new regime coming next season. And then Brunson is going to available for an extension, I believe, the next year after. So now you're going to have to pay Brunson what you're paying Dame. And now you're going to have $130 million backcourt. And if it gets you the first round, now you're like, oh, my God, if I'm Dame, I just went through this in Portland. Now it's worse because now I'm in a bigger market, and now there's more tabloids, there's more all this. So I don't think the Knicks are in it at all.
Another thing to keep in mind here, guys, we don't know just how far Dame's positive relationship with the Blazers front office is going to go here. Mm-hmm. It could be a situation where they're like, look, man, we want to do right by you. You have stayed through. You never requested a trade, been a good soldier, that whole thing. I wonder if that sways it a little bit. Obviously, at the end of the day, the GM is thinking about his job, to your point, Mo, where he's going to want to take the best offer, right? But I do wonder, so he's like, look, man, I really want to go down to South Beach and play with Bam, right? I really want to play with Bam and Jimmy. How can we make this happen? And if it's a weird time from the Blazers' perspective because, like, what do you do? Like, do you try and if you wanted to stick with the let's build around Dame thing, like, who are you trying to acquire? Who are you trading that number 3 pick and Anthony Simons to get type of thing? And it's kind of a weird situation for them because I feel like they haven't really committed one way or the other as to what they want to do. So we could over here and pontificate all we want about, what does Miami have to do? What does Boston, Philly, New York, Brooklyn have to do? But we don't even know what the Blazers want to do, right? And that's
I think we know what the Blazers want to do, Omar. I think they want to get rid of Dame. I think they want to start fresh. They want to build around the 3rd pick, whether it's Scoot or Brandon Miller. They're bringing him in for workouts and all that. They want to build around Shaden Sharp, good young wing who
he's untouchable apparently,
and he has crazy potential. Had he played at Kentucky last year and had stats, he might have been even a higher pick and all that. Right. They have Anthony Simons, who that's another guy they could dangle in potential because he has a reasonable contract. That's not crazy.
I feel like he's gone. I feel like he's going to get traded. Especially if Dame's traded. Yeah.
If Dame's traded and they draft Scoot, he kind of doesn't fit there anymore. Mm-hmm. So now you can flip him. I think that's what they want to do. They're just like waiting for Dame to be like, hey, man, like please tell us that you want to get traded so he can make our life easier. Because right now he's kind of put him in a tough position because the 3rd pick, it's value, but it's like, who are you going to get for that? Who are you going to trade? What wing that ideally might fit for them that is going to be truly available? that you're gonna want because you can go trade for Jaylen Brown, but now you have to pay him almost $300 million, and that's not a guarantee that he's gonna even want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think they want to cut their costs. Hey, Dame, let's make a move. You want to go to Miami? Go to Miami. I think they're at that point. You want to go to Miami? We'll make it work. We'll send you to Miami. I think they just want to cut ties and start fresh because what they're doing now is not going to win basketball games. You have to start fresh and all that. And I think that's what they want to do. It's just I think they're just trying to figure out the team and all that. And I truly believe Dame is going to be in Miami. I feel this Beal trade makes it more clear that I feel like Miami, they're all in on Dame. They're getting some type of intel that Dame feels the same way. Right. And this is going to happen. And whether it happens tomorrow, whether it happens draft night, whether it happens after the draft, I feel like Dame to Miami is going to happen very soon.
So let me ask you guys this. Like, let's say it happens, hypothetically speaking, right? And you maintain the core of Bam, Jimmy, and Dame, right? Is this team instantly like a return trip to the finals expectations wise?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So do you think they win the whole thing if they have those guys, assuming they could find some ancillary pieces to replace Vincent and Strus and whoever else has to go?
I don't know if they win the whole thing, but they're definitely
going to the finals is the expectation. If Dame goes anywhere, I don't care where Dame goes. When Dame gets traded and unpulls his his loyalty card, I assume wherever he goes is a finals contender. And I assume that because I don't think he's pulling his card to just get to the playoffs. And so a team who just recently went to the finals just, a week ago was playing in the NBA finals. Yeah, I think to say if they get Dame and Jimmy and Bam, and we'll just say they don't give up Caleb Martin. We'll say they keep one of Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. We say they sell the Miami and the state of Florida, no state tax and this and that, and they're able to build a roster around them, which I think they would. Because if you have Dame, Jimmy, and Bam, I mean, you're upgrading over Tyler Hero. We haven't even exited Kyle Lowry or Duncan Robinson. I think Robinson or one of them would be in the package for Dame just for money.
Lowry being there because he's expiring.
Yeah, and I'm just saying for the money to match, but I mean, we haven't even given up our whole team. We're really more.
That's what I'm saying, Mo. Like you might not have to give as much as you think because the Lowry contract that's massive in this deal because now that's salary. Now you're off the books with Lowry next year if you're Portland.
It is, but I'm still saying like
you're gonna give Jovic, with whoever that other dude is, I forgot his name.
You're basically gonna give up. You're gonna have to give up guys outside of Kyle Lowry. You're basically going to have to give up guys who didn't contribute to this finals run. So, yes, I'm all in for Dame. I still think, bro, if you're telling me it costs Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, Nikola Jovic, and 2 first-round picks, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that trade. I would not be like, oh, we overpaid for Dame. And I know maybe a lot of people would. Because they're like, you gave up 3 players and 2 picks, but like, if you know anything about the Miami Heat, they don't care about their draft picks.
They'll give 2 shits.
They play a whole bunch of undrafted players. They don't really care about the draft picks.
They don't care.
So they're valuing like, even still with trading Tyler Hero, they're like, we gave up a player who wasn't there in the finals, wasn't there in the second round or third round, or hell, even the first round. They would be like, bro, we gave up Miami. Pat Riley would justify it. We gave up all that for Kyle Lowry and I don't know, let's just say Victor Oladipo. So they will basically look at it and be like, we upgraded from Kyle Lowry to Dame Lillard. That's how they would look at their team next year.
That's how you have to look at it.
They're able to pull up that trade because of who wasn't there, who wasn't available, and who didn't contribute to this finals. And even if they lose a Max Strus or Gabe Vincent, because like I said, going to the championship and losing is more detrimental than going to the championship and winning. Because when you go and win, even if guys get their price tags get too high in free agency, guess what? You won a championship, it doesn't matter. But when you get to the finals and lose and your projected free agents price tag go up, it's harder to keep them just because now they reached the finals, had a taste of possible success, and now they're chasing the bag. because they might look at the same team and be like, I'm not taking a home team discount. Denver Nuggets could get guys like Bruce Brown to take less money to play for them. Why? Because they won the championship. Hey, let's run it back. Where when you get there, it's harder to pitch to Miami. Like, it's harder for Miami to pitch and say, hey, Gabe Vincent, take less money, or hey, Max Vincent, let's take less money to stay with the Miami Heat, because you didn't win the championship. So we're not in the run it back mentality. We are as let's run it back to get there. But like, we already got there and we lost. And now it's time for an undrafted player like Vincent. Hey, go chase your bag. Yeah. Like, you reached the finals, you lost, go chase your bag. And I would not be mad at either one of those guys for leaving. You know what I'm saying? We maximize them. They maximize their potential in Miami. And if both of them left, hey, I hope nothing for the best for them. I'm a root for them. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if it doesn't conflict my interests, like, bro, I want you to be great, bro. If you're in my franchise, I love you. And if you leave and you go be great, if it's not at the detriment, let's say Strus went to the Magic, because we're hearing about him going to Magic. If Magic made the playoffs and won the first round series and it wasn't against the Heat, bro, I'm happy for Max Strus. Like, I'm not that player, bro. I love the players that play for my franchise, but I also root for their future success and the business in the NBA.
I don't root for Kevin Knox. So
I understand that, but the Heat don't typically have a lot of players who they draft, because typically they're undrafted. So
we also Oladipo, I think, can opt into his contract, which is, I don't know. I think it's around.
He's gonna opt into it.
He's gonna opt in because he's hurt, and so that's also a trade piece too that you can add to that to match up salary. Like I said, I don't think it's gonna be as much as people are thinking. I think it's gonna be Miami. I truly do believe that. I don't. The Sixers may be in it. It all depends on the Harden stuff and all that. And if you feel comfortable,
he's already in Houston, man. What are you talking about?
And he might be all the way in Houston, but if you feel comfortable with Maxey and Lillard as your backcourt and with Embiid and all that, I think that's the only team, because, and also they have the Tobias expiring, which is going to be very key. And I think Tobias is going to get moved too. I think the Sixers are also going to try to make a move. So I think it's between you and the Sixers, but I would feel confident that he's going to end up in Miami.
I'm just not building my hopes up. We just lost out on Bradley Beal.
I understand that Mo. Me and Chris should understand that better than anybody else has, because we
never get anyone
pointed in free agency and trades as Knicks fans one time too many. So, but to you guys' point about Philly, like, they're kind of in like do or die this coming year. I feel like, because if it's another second round exit and Embiid's out, man, it's over, right? Like, he's requesting out if they don't do anything. And if Harden leaves, they got to fill the void somehow. So I do think if it's a 2-horse race, I think it's Miami and Philly. It's all a matter of how that deal gets done. But I'm right with where you're at, Chris. If I had to put a percentage on, I'm like 65-35 Miami over Philly in terms of where he ends up.
Yeah, I think Dame is built for Miami. He has that mindset and all that. He wants to win.
He fit right into Heat culture, man. That's like they're two in the same. I feel like
Philly is a little tougher situation. Like, I heard a lot of people say he fits the culture of Philly, but we don't even know what their culture is, to be honest. Like, what is their culture? It seems like it's all over the place. Embiid is it seems like he's a tough person to co-star with. That's what it's trying to seem. And he's also a player that always gets hurt too, and always gets hurt. Like, in the playoffs too, like when you need him, it's like, if you're a Dame, it's like, I trust the Miami situation a lot more than I trust Philly. Philly just seems like it's too up and down. Like, what if Embiid gets hurt and that's it? It's just me and Maxey, and now I'm in the same situation I was with CJ, where in Miami it's like, hey, I could do work, and then I could go let Jimmy do his thing in the fourth quarter and all that, right? Like, we could take. Like, to me, if I'm Dame, I'm trying to figure a way to get to Miami ASAP. Like, I'm going to be hey, it's been fun in Portland, but Miami is the place. Like I said, don't have to give a bunch of assets. Like, it makes too much sense. This is just me thinking. I feel like, all right, they were comfortable with Beal. All right, Beal's gone. All right, Dame. That's it. Priority number one is Damian Lillard must be a member of the Miami Heat. And we're going to make it happen, because that's the difference between us not being an 8 seed again. You don't want to go through what you just went through. Like it's a great story, right? You went 8 seed, play in and all. You can't tell me they want to go through that gauntlet again. Like that's too much. And eventually, guess what? They got to the finals and it was too much for them. Like if they get Dame, they're probably going to be a healthy. They're definitely a top 4 seed. That's an easier road. All right, you're going to get home court and all that. Not that it matters, but like you don't have to go through that gauntlet and all that because they had to go through a gauntlet to get to the finals, and then Denver just can't.
Too much.
Pat Riley has lost 3 straight NBA finals. Do you think he wants to lose a 4th straight? Right, he lost the last one when LeBron left, and then lost the bubble, and then this year he does not want to lose 4 straight finals. He doesn't want to get back there and lose again. So,
I mean, what's their plan B if this doesn't work?
Now that's
Miami?
interesting. Mm-hmm. There is no plan B.
There is no plan B. They
run it back.
I feel comfortable that they're going to make this happen and all that, or else they wouldn't have let Beal go. But if it does for some reason fall through, and Beal go and Dame goes to, let's say he stays put or he goes to Philly, now you're in.
Like, are they in on Kyrie if that happens? Like,
yeah, I think Kyrie is the third option. I think Kyrie is a possibility, but that's all on Kyrie because he's also a free agent, so it changes things. And you know what? While being on my phone during this here podcast, this is what I'm gonna close out with. The son of the Suns CEO is Bradley Beal's agent, right? All right, let's put that in perspective. What the hell? He gave him the ultimate gift on Father's Day, bro. Drops mic, done. I ain't nothing else.
It's like Rick Brunson.
Here goes Bradley Beal for your Father's Day present.
Rick Brunson being the assistant coach for the Knicks.
Yeah, here you go. I love you, Dad. Bradley Beal on Father's Day. Here you go. I love you, Dad. He outmatched all of us in what we could give our fathers for Father's Day.
Hey, shout out to the nepotism in the NBA, though, man. You know, shout out there. So
they're so worried about tampering it. Sometimes it's like right in front of their face. Like, come on, you know, it's just right in front of them.
The agent is the son of the CEO of the Suns.
Bartelstein, something like that. Rick Bartelstein.
Here, Dad. Hey, happy Father's Day. Love you. I'll give you Bradley Beal. Bye. Drop the mic. Boom.
That's why there's so many ways to do deals without doing deals, like without it being like obvious. Like, so like when I saw that earlier today, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And all that. I think Dame is going to be a Miami Heat. I feel comfortable within the draft is Thursday. I feel comfortable that by draft day, we'll see Dame Lillard in a Miami Heat uniform. I think that's going to happen. That's my bold prediction. That Dame's going to be a member of the Miami Heat by the draft.
Well, clip this and save it because if he's not and you start talking shit, I'm clipping this and saving it. You're so confident, so don't do that.
There you go.
Think RJ Barrett.
Don't laugh at Mo if we don't get Damian Lillard because you're the one who manifested it and saying it. Well, I played optimistic or I played pessimistic on I don't know if we get Dame. You played optimistic and
your team has been to how many finals?
I don't care. You feel so confident. You feel so confident that Miami lands Dame. Clip this shit up because you're going to be the first person to try and yell it. Get on Mo about you didn't get Bill or Lillard. Yeah, well, you said we would get him. So clip this shit up right here.
I got to make fun. You know, my team gets
clip this shit up.
I'm definitely going to clip it up. What are you at the 106.7 mark?
Yeah.
Clip that up, and we'll see. But I feel confident. I think he's going to be a member of the Miami Heat. If you had to give a percentage, Omar, percentages that Dame gets traded and to what team? What's the percentages?
I feel like it's 85-90% he's going to get traded. I think I mentioned it earlier, 65% to Miami, 35% to Philly, I would say. I don't think Brooklyn's in the running. I don't think the Knicks really are interested. Agreed. And I think Boston has to take care of Jaylen Brown before they think about a Damian Lillard trade. So, and by take care of, I mean either decide what the hell they want to do with Jaylen Brown, you know. So yeah, I think it's a 2-horse race personally, and I'm giving the Miami that 65-35.
Mosif?
35-65 that we get Dame.
The other way.
I have no freaking hope. At this point, we missed out on Bill. It's just
such a negative Nancy.
No, it's just we missed out on the finals. We missed out on Bill, and we're holding hope that we catch on a guy who's not today 100% available. He's not available yet. Dame ain't in trade talks. Teams ain't called. Teams ain't been able to make their pitch. Yeah, players ain't been able to call Dame and say, "Hey, come play with me, bro, and we can make this happen." No, I'm on a 35% chance that the Heat get Damian Lillard. I really don't think we do. If we do, great. Like if we do, great, and we will have that conversation of what a Damian Lillard on the Heat with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo look like. But at the same time, bro, there's so much room for other players, bro. Like you could tell me tampering is a thing, but it's not a thing because all these guys are friends and they're all gonna call and pitch why it would be great to play over here and this and that, and then they're going to relay it to their agent. Their agent's going to relay it to the GM.
He said it. He like him and Bam a boy. So,
bro, yeah, I heard that. I think he pushed his leverage. I do think with him saying all that, I think he pushed his leverage to go to Miami. I do think that. I said when he's like me and Bam boys, it's like my little bro and this and that. I do think he pushed his way to lean towards Miami, but at the end of the day, it's a business and Portland is a business and this is $1 billion business. And Portland could be like, we hear you on Miami, but if you give us other teams, we will send you to the best offer. And that's what I'm leaving on the table is Portland be like, we're not dead set on sending you to Miami. But after seeing the Kevin Durant stuff, you know, with Brooklyn, and they kind of asked him overnight and traded him at 1 a.m. because they simply called Phoenix and was like, hey, he said he want to go here. What can we do? Fine, but I'm not dead set on star players only having one team that's on their mind. And so if Dame puts anybody outside of Miami and he puts some of those teams I named, they got a better trade package. So 35% that Miami gets traded, that Dame gets traded to Miami. That's where I'm at.
So Mo thinks 35% chance. I'm all in, putting all the chips in. I think he's a Miami Heat. Omar is what 80? 65% in on Dame being in Miami.
He's 95% he gets traded and 65% that he gets traded to Miami.
So that's how we feel about Dame in that situation. We'll see. We can get off this pod and Dame's gone. You know, that stuff just happens quick. Like
it ain't gonna happen. Stop it.
Mo sounds like a Knicks fan from like 2 years ago.
No, I'm just going to bed.
2 years ago. You sound like a Knicks fan right now.
Yeah, you sound like Knicks Twitter right now.
I'm going to bed.
Twitter's going ablaze right now.
I'm not going to bed playing what ifs. I'm going to bed with a peaceful mind knowing what it is. And what it is Dame is not in a Heat jersey, and I get to go to bed and know we lost in 5 in the finals, and I'm okay with that, and I will accept it and shut my eyes and go to sleep and wake up in the morning and figure out what tomorrow looks like. Happy Juneteenth. That's what the rest of my day and tomorrow look like.
Solo called Mo has spoken.
Yep.
He thinks they're gonna get RJ Barrett in a trade.
No, see. No, I don't.
Butler,
the hell I don't.
Bro, you know what?
No damn RJ Barrett on our roster.
You know,
RJ Barrett will fucking cook in Miami. I was gonna say that.
He would cook in Miami.
I bet he would to Knicks fans who are gladly willing to get rid of him. Oh yeah, he'd be the guy we wanted him to be in Miami. Kiss my ass.
Hey,
that's what I got to say. Kiss my ass.
I think he's undervalued. I'm gonna be honest.
Undervalued.
I defended RJ a lot. I think he's undervalued.
Oh yeah, let's undervalue his ass all the way to Miami. Omar, screw you. Chris, screw you. Leave his ass in New York and figure it out. Y'all,
you know who I think the Knicks are gonna, and I know this is kind of like crazy to think of, but I seriously think they're gonna entertain.
Karl-Anthony Towns.
No, I don't want him in New York.
But they're gonna get him.
I think the Zion thing's real.
Ooh.
I think Karl-Anthony Towns is to New York is real.
Well,
we are not about to go down the Knicks hall, and I'm not about to listen to you and Omar for the next 40 minutes. Tell me who the Knicks could possibly get. Y'all about to get Karl-Anthony Towns. Love it, live it, and like it.
Let me say something real quick. I'm not gonna deep dive it or anything like that. I feel like I'm one of the few Knicks fans that is totally okay with not making a splash right now. Yeah. Like I think it's around the fringe moves that they're gonna. I think they're okay being like a 6-5-4 seed, getting into the second round for another year, and then waiting it out. And like I said earlier, I think they're really waiting for Embiid, and so I don't think like Chris, you could say Zion thing feels real. I don't know if it does.
Zion's porn star girlfriend is from New York. Just throw that out there real quick.
I mean, a million people are from New York. You know, like it's.
I don't think the Knicks. I know everyone talks about the Knicks,
one of the ones
getting a star, but like, who's that star that realistically would make a major?
What's better than to get Zion and a porn star? Oh my God! Like we get both of them to the Knicks franchise.
Tabloids? Do you want the back page? Yeah. I do think the Zion stuff has some legs to it, but I don't think that they're gonna pull the trigger. But
Zion gonna buy Shorty.
I don't think I agree with Almo. I don't think the Knicks are gonna do anything crazy and all that.
Zion
Their
gonna
priority
They're gonna run it back for the most
re-signing
part.
Josh Hart. That's their priority, and talking about a quickly extension. That's what they care about this offseason.
Yeah.
Zion gonna buy Shorty a big ass crib in the Bronx. That's all I'm saying.
We will protect RJ. I mean, RJ.
Yeah, okay.
Zion from the
Protect.
Bronx.
Yeah. I hear that all. Protect
Zion from the
Zion.
Bronx.
Bullshit.
I think everyone. I don't even go to the Bronx, and I have family in the Bronx.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. I hear protect.
I remember I used to drive a Dodge Charger. I had like 24-inch rims, and I remember they're like, "Yo, come through with the car." I was like, "Nope, I'm good. I'm good, guys." Because if I park that thing, we go upstairs, it will not be there, or the rims at least will not be there in the car. So we will protect our Zion from the Bronx. But that's it. We talked about Bradley Beal going, getting traded to the Suns and his value, and all that. What does this mean? What CP3? Where is he going to go? Does he make an impact somewhere else? Obviously, Dame. His chances of getting moved. Some of us are high on it, some of us are low on it. We'll see what happens, but we know if that does happen, we'll definitely hop back on and talk about that. So I expect us to be talking about that very soon with the draft. Just 4.5 days. This time Thursday. We'll be talking about the draft and all that, and we'll see some more moves. I think. I don't think the Bradley Beal move is the only move we'll see. So. We'll see Karl-Anthony Towns get traded, Jaylen Brown. We'll see what happens and all that, and obviously Dame. But, guys, pleasure for you hopping on and chopping up with me on that note. But that's Omar. Omar, you tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, man, you can find me on Twitter at OmarZHRN. You can find all my written pieces on offtheballnetwork.com. Got a couple coming out this week. One probably later this week about Lou Williams. So be on the lookout for that.
He retired.
He just retired today. He got lost in the Beal news, but he just retired.
It's crazy. I had that written, and then when the Beal stuff happened, I just got lost in it. But obviously, Lou Williams, 17-year career, 3-time Sixth Man of the Year, 2-time he averaged 20 points a game, one of the greatest, bench players we'll ever see. He didn't start a game for like the first 5 years of his career. It's kind of wild. And still had a great career.
So catch me on offtheballnetwork.com, catch me on Twitter, and chop it up about some NBA, some NFL, whatever you want to talk about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mo, tell the people they can find you.
Yeah, catch me, Mo_Cheese15 on Twitter, at Up in Flames Pod on Instagram. I'm probably be recording the podcast tomorrow on Juneteenth. Shout out to Juneteenth and shout out to everybody celebrating, cookouts, all that. Great, wonderful long weekend. And yeah, Chris, I appreciate you for having me on as always.
Of course. And you can follow me at Off the Ball Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Make sure appreciate anyone who's watching on the YouTube channel. Make sure you give us a sub, comment, tell us what you feel about trade rumors and where you think guys are gonna go. Like I said, we'll definitely, if Dame stuff happens, we'll definitely be on and all that. Draft day, I don't know if the guys are going to try to do some, but we'll let you know on there. I know I'm going to be on Knicks Fan TV. This will be my 3rd year on the draft show, so I'm excited about that. Got the confirmation, so I'll be on the draft show. Even though Knicks have no picks,
it's kind of a weird situation, right?
It's a very weird situation because I had stuff lined up for the draft as far as guys the Knicks could target. I haven't done one Knicks show where we don't have no picks, so who are we going to target? I can give you some undrafted guys. That's what it's all about. I love. I have some undrafted guys, but no first round, no second. I do expect that to change. I think they'll
buy into the second round.
Yeah. I think the Pacers have 3-4 first round picks. They only have one roster spot available. I think maybe they can trade up and get a first, but we'll see what happens.
We'll be topping for a first.
Yeah, we'll be topping for a first. That's definitely something. If they're not going to re-sign them, but we'll figure that out. We'll talk about that on there. But on that note, make sure offtheballnetwork.com. Make sure to check the website out. Give us a subscribe on YouTube, like I just said. Make sure to check out all the great content creators at the Off the Ball Network. You won't be disappointed. We got everything for you. But on that note, be well, be safe, take care. Peace out.